Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to Let's Play Darksiders 2. We're heading into another dungeon today, unsurprisingly, but this one's special because it's a real dungeon. A real one. Proper scrolling maze of puzzles. It's got a very versatile and recognizable dungeon item. It's a real dungeon, y'all. It's the Foundry.
So the time has come.
Tell me about the Foundry.
It is a holy site where soul is fused with stone.
Doesn't look so holy from here.
The darkness has spared little in our realm. But the Foundry is a place of magic. It is strong, and with your help we will claim it once more.
What became of the other wardens?
In my dreams, I felt many of my brothers, but only one still called Aura, a warden most ancient. His soul still haunts me, though his stone is lost. The stone. There is no shame in turning back.
No point either.
You heard the warden. It's not safe to go alone. You need my help.
So our first major change before we even get into this dungeon. Oh, I love the landscape around here and the giant statues of the Watchers. Oh man, it looks really cool around here. I forgot about how much I love this game's art style. Karn is going to be accompanying us throughout the Foundry. He's sort of an early dungeon gimmick or dungeon item. If you think about him purely in a utilitarian sense, instead of as a charming, endearing companion who has some witty banter to share with you. Karn will serve a couple of functions in here. But also, before we even move one room further into the Foundry, I normally would not stop for these Mystic Stones, but I just want to grab this one to point out how goddamn devilish it is. That is so easy to miss. It's not even like the moment you step foot in this room, the first thing you see is one of those cauldrons with the stone on it. No, it's like 4 of them have to rotate through the room before you get to that one. This room, I think there's a shortcut back to this section, deeper into the dungeon. That door is not going to lift up for the time being. And there's a big gap, complete with a pit of lava.
Now that's it then.
So, this is where Karn will come in handy in this dungeon. He's a catapult. That's part of what his utility is. He can toss you places which would normally be inaccessible to you. I thought I could wall run at that. No, I think I have to go up instead. Oh no, I'm dropping down right here, and then hanging on to one of the cauldrons. There is a word for these that I am just not remembering. Anyway, we're going to do some more wall running over here. So glad to be in the Foundry finally. Really like this place. Plus, it's a setting that we haven't quite seen before. They've actually been doing a pretty good job of varying things up, aside from the Lost Temple, which used a really similar color palette. and tile set to what we've already seen, but like the Drench Fort in the first dungeon that we were in, nice scenery. And this one's no different. There's gonna be a big fire theme, but they also change things up like midway through the dungeon, just a little bit. Oh, straight up upgrade. And that's piercing damage. Yeah, we will equip that. Hell yeah. All this is gonna do is raise the gate so that we can go through the door. Now we have not quite the central hub of the dungeon, but a room that we will be returning to. There's a lot going on here. Like Karn, who we left back in that semicircle. These switches are new for us. They're weighted levers. And that's gonna let Karn through.
I'll get the door.
Not only that, it raised the door at the other end of the room, opposite him. And now he's waiting under it. When we scooch our butts off the switch, the door will fall, but Karn is there to catch it so we can pass through and move on to the actual centralized hub of the dungeon.
That's the Guardian Rider. And if you would get to the tree, we will have to wake that beast.
And then what?
The Guardian will do what it was meant to. Destroy the corruption blocking the tree.
But it looks finished. Why does it just stand
The
there?
body is finished, aye. But as it stands, it is no more than dead stone. To give life to the stone, we must give it the essence of a maker's heart. 3 of them for a beast this large.
And how do we do that?
These heart stones were finished, along with the Guardian, but never married to the stone. They're all in the temple. We need only look to find them.
Then let's go.
There it is. There's Darksider 2's favorite number. There's the number 3 for the first time. Oh, y'all are gonna come to get real sick of the number 3. Let's see. So, back there on the left, you saw a switch and a bomb, which we cannot even hope to get close to yet. You have a construct rising up from out of the muck. When you see him flash gold like that, it's pretty much an indicator that they have hyper armor on their next attack, so you cannot stagger them out of the hit, usually. Oh, Karn is actually pretty handy in combat as well. You can do a number. That's where we have to go. And then over here, there's a big wooden structure. Meaning that there's no way we can ever move on that way. Shame. So one of these pathways is blocked by corruption. We're gonna let Karn take care of this mostly. Move on to the next room. In this next room, there's an elevator in the center that we have to raise up. And are you still following me? Yep. I wonder if Karn doing all the work back in the hallway, if I'm still getting XP for that. No, I'm not. Ooh, sorry about that. I had to sneeze. Hopefully I remember to cut that out, because I sneeze like... Oh god, the little mouse from Tiny Toons. Is his name just Sneezer? Anyway, up the ramp, you can see the familiar trail of runes. And instead of a groove in the floor, it's a groove in the wall. But either way, we don't have the ball yet. So we're going to get fastball specialed up here by Karn, and then jump down into the water, which will provide us a couple of extra routes we can go in this room. And that's been a thing. Maker's fastball specialing you. Ulthane launched Warring Darksiders 1. And that's a lot of what Karn does here. Holds doors for us and throws us around. He's useful. It's like a small Scottish V2. So we're gonna pass down here. This is what is on the lower part of the elevator. It's one of those constructs that we can activate with the Maker's Key. And we can also pop up here. So I did some digging, and I actually found out why the dungeon design philosophy changed a bit in Darksiders 2. And it actually stems from the Black Tower, which was an endgame dungeon that was pretty lengthy from Darksiders 1. It involved a lot of really cool portal gun puzzles, and light puzzles and stuff like that. And of course, the beams. Redirect the beams. It was a fairly maligned dungeon because people felt that it dragged on for way too long. And it was exhausting. I don't really get that fatigue. I rather enjoyed the Black Tower. But still, aside from fucking Beam Man Supreme, Azrael, the beams. Redirect the beams. Oh, it looks, I don't know if we can fit it through. Karn is kind of in the way. Oh, no, never mind. He's not in the way at all. He's a fucking ghost! Still, tons of people complained about the Black Tower. Oh, I failed at skee ball. As a New Jersey native, I should be deeply ashamed of that. A lot of people complained about the Black Tower. Vigil took that feedback into consideration, so they did a few things, which I will get to after I escape this fucking Sisyphean hell. Of course I get it on the next attempt. They spread the content of the dungeons out a lot more, as you've seen up until now. This being our 4th dungeon, technically. So we have the mini side quest dungeons, we have all the smaller main dungeons we've done so far, which would, can't the 3 of those all together, the ones prior to the Foundry, would maybe make up a chunk of Darksiders 1 dungeon, or even a DS2 full-size one. And then there are these, again, the fully fleshed out ones, like the Foundry, the one we're in. And I also don't know if I've ever shown off the really radical combat capacity of these constructs. Unfortunately, they don't benefit from Darksiders 2's really great combat system, but they do clear a room out pretty efficiently. Anyway,
Stone's bigger than you.
For some reason I thought he just said he's Shatstone's bigger than them. No, okay. But even here in the Foundry, they pace things out and they set it up so you can take a break after like a major objective is clear. That's why we have 3 sub-objectives. Also because Darksiders 2 loves the number 3. So you can divide the dungeon into more digestible wings. Apart from that, there's also another pretty important change to how fast travel works. So if you remember, in Darksiders 1, you had to find Vulgrim to unlock these serpent holes. And wherever Vulgrim popped up, those were the only locations that you could fast travel to. And you could only fast travel from those locations as well. They were perfectly linked. Darksiders 2 is more liberal about giving you fast travel points. I'm going to give this one shot and see if I can do this. This is not the intended way to get over here. They want you to have the dungeon item to do this, but you can make a tricky little jump to get to this chest early. Not that it matters a ton, it's just scaled loot. Not even good loot at that. Getting back onto the chain might be trickier. To jump at the right time, and made it. Now we jump to the Ivy. Let's see. was I saying? Darksiders 2 is more liberal about giving you places you can fast travel to. You can teleport to any one of these points from any location. And inside dungeons is where the biggest change comes in. You can do basically what you would do in Diablo. You can TP out. When you fast travel, like, back to Tristone from inside a dungeon, for instance, it creates a waypoint. And when you're ready to resume the dungeon, you can fast travel back inside the dungeon to the spot you teleported out from, which is pretty cool. It's, again, another way to give the player a little break if they're feeling fatigued. I think those are fine changes. It creates some problems while solving others, namely in the rule of threes department. But it's not as big of a problem as the one it solves. I'm just glad they went, okay, let's just find a better way to pace things to try to make everyone happy. It's one of those rare things where, like, I really think that works. Where you can actually do something that pleases everyone. Because they didn't sacrifice the content of the dungeons. Yeah, like, I've griped about the formula, or the formulaic nature of it, and how the seams kind of show at times. But that's not as important as good pacing. And Darksiders 2 does a pretty admirable job of pacing. I think it drags a little bit towards the end, but that's sort of unrelated to the structure of what they're trying to do with the dungeons in this one. And oh, even if I wanted to blow Reaper Form, I can't, so we're just gonna take this guy out vanilla-like. Also, if you haven't noticed by now, I did pick up a couple new moves back in Tristone from Thane. I picked up the back and triangle for the faster sub-weapons, which is like this continuous mashing the sub-weapons into the ground that you've seen. You can do that over and over and over again. You can spam that, and if you do it up to 3 times, it ends with a power geyser that launches them. The only thing that sucks about that move is the smaller enemies that would be susceptible to the launcher. They tend to get knocked back by the first couple of hits. So you have to do it once, knock them back, you'll whiff a couple of them, and then hope they wander back into range of the hit. The knockback is a little too intense. The other one that you've been seeing is a new Reaper combo in midair. That's just tap, tap, delay, tap again. Oh, no. Hate that I always have this problem with dismounting. I'm going to detach the chain. And then just dismount normally. Good, stuck to dismount.
After you.
Then we'll meet back up with Thane out here. I told you we would be back to this. Jesus, that's such a good animation. Oh, Thane, you're clipping in my camera a little bit. Take a look at the statue as we head upstairs. There is a bomb behind the crystallized corruption. We'll be figuring out how to get that. And the chest on a little bit. We're gonna get tossed by Karn again. Almost called him Thane. Oh, I wish he was all Thane. On down here, normally I would call the dungeon maps useless, but those are for the mini dungeons. This one, as you can see, is actually quite large, and there are 4 floors. The 2 basement levels are nowhere near as yawning as... Oh, whoops. Oh, well, it got me back up here. Nowhere near as big as the upper levels. But still, it can actually be handy to have the dungeon map here. Until you catch on to the fact that the progression is somewhat linear. But that's okay. Still our first useful dungeon map. And remember, we have the compass automatically. Death just has a nice internal compass, it seems. We're gonna have to clear all these guys out. Leave to unlock the fence in front of the door. Yep, there you go, you can hear it lifting. And over here in this big circular room, oh, this is a familiar, nice sight. I'll wail away on this big, dope-looking metal chest until we get the dungeon item. It's a screaming spectral skull, which attaches to our wrist. This is the Death Grip. Yeah, you can see where this is going. It's a Devil Bringer, or if you will, the hook shot. So yeah, long last, we got our hook shot. Were you wondering how we were going to get back across the chasm to get back to Karn, since he threw us across in the first place? That is not where that chest is. But that gives me an excuse to pop that potion so I can pick this one up. It was impossible earlier. This is also how we're going to get that bomb behind the corruption. To throw it at the corruption, blow that up, and then get to that juicy chest in the corridor behind it. Hopefully it's something good. That is... Alright, I'm trading out piercing damage for crit damage. I think it might be worth it. I like how you can actually hear them sliding Karn to you once you get too far ahead of him. Like, you can actually hear his footsteps slide as they rubber band him. We have this up here. Oh, look at that nice glow from the Death Grip. Whoops. Why do you have to be so imprecise, Death? This, I mentioned before, is just a little shortcut that's going to lead us back out to the semi-circular room. But of course, I don't think there's a Death Grip hookshot point. It's redundant. Death Grip hookshot. So the only way that we can get back, let me just make sure, is by taking that same shortcut back. Yeah, no, plus the door's not open. So we do have to just go back the way we came. I think this comes in handy a little bit later on. But I'm not, like, 100% sure of that. So I might just be completely forgetting the function of this room. Or this whole pathway around. Either way, where we actually want to be going is to a room that we saw right before we hit that hub. Or actually, wait, was it in the hub? Yeah, it was in our central hub. It was a branch off from there.
Follow me!
You're behind me! Follow me! Fuck off! Also, he was almost going the right direction until he followed me. You'll remember there was a lava-filled chasm, and there was also a switch and a bomb somewhere that we could not hope to grab. But now that we have the Death Grip, we can Death Grip the bomb, like we did with the treasure chest. Right after we got the Death Grip, we can use that and throw it at the switch to raise the bridge so we can get to the other side of the room. Now you might be thinking, why can't Karn just throw us to the other side? He could, but we actually need Karn to do something up ahead. So we actually need him to come with us. So we need this bridge raised. We can't go the next part alone. We come to yet another room with a bridge that's out. We have access to both sides. On either side of the room is a switch, a lever that we can pull that will raise one half of the bridge. We need to raise both halves in order to get Karn across to the next side. On the next side, on the opposite side of the room, there's an elevator, and down the elevator, there's a room where we will also need Karn. And eventually we will get that heart piece. Or the stone heart, or whatever it was called. The dungeon MacGuffin. So we have fixed the bridge. Oh, Death. I think that glow is super fucking cool, though. No, why would you do this, Death? Why would you do that, though?
That was a nice warm-up.
What the fuck are you talking about, Karn? I actually like that Karn isn't that chatty. You know, he has a bunch of different voice lines he plays when he's holding a door up for you. He's the line that plays when he needs to toss you somewhere. And that's about it. Don't really hear from him that much, so it's not incessant. Nope. No combat arena on this elevator. But next up, we're gonna have a very long hallway. And at the end of it, we have to get up there. There is our Heartstone.
Ah, a heartstone. Within lays the soul of a great maker. Find a way to bring it down, and I'll carry it. It's alright, I've got you.
Some giant construct built a big claw machine and won that thing as a prize at a carnival. Oh, no, 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 no. Don't you jump off that wall, Death. Now we dead. That's not what you were supposed to do. Oh, we saved it, though. If I wanted, I could infinite jump up there, but... Nah, I think we're good. Toss me back. Toss me back.
Off aboard.
The way this is supposed to look is... You do the wall run. I think you're supposed to grip a lot earlier than I did. And then that just resets your wall run. I'm not quite done with that yet, though. Because you can also go upwards with that. To get this chest up here. We have not had spectacular luck with the loot drops this dungeon. We did get an upgrade, but that's more like my stuff was under-leveled, so of course something was bound to be an upgrade. Not a lot of good stuff in the rarity department. So next we will Death Grip over to Karn, who will throw us across this newly opened section. And a lot of this now is going to be hook-shotting around, traversal puzzles, stuff like that. For the time being, at least. We got used to how the hookshot works vis-a-vis solving puzzles. Now they're getting us used to how it works with regards to how it affects our ability to traverse the environment. You also saw before it can be used in combat. It's not the most useful thing in the world. It's not exactly Nero's Devilbringer. It's not exactly the DMC Devil May Cry Angel and Demon whips. But it's got some utility. The gun is a lot better, just because of the gun's ability to generate wrath. Plus, it's always good to juggle with the gun. It's obviously still possible here. Just keep them bouncing in midair with machine gun fire. And last but not least, we're gonna find a groove for this guy, and then create a walkway with his chain arm. Oh, he runs like fucking Naruto. Off the chains. Wherever you have a fist weapon. And now, you would think there would be some kind of puzzle that you would have to do to open up the big claw machine or to move it around like a crane puzzle or something and then drop the Heartstone. No, we're gonna get on this thing and pound it loose.
Fret, horseman. I'll get it.
This extremely valuable, useful dungeon item. We just bang on it a bunch.
Let's get this back to the Guardian. Fire and water.
And that's really the only reason, aside from the couple of tosses, that we need Karn for this. And thus why we need to do all the bridge puzzles. Is so that he can actually carry this big, heavy dungeon MacGuffin. And then up we'll go. We'll retrace our steps. And we will be 1/3 of the way done with the foundry. Yeah, we weren't getting on the same elevator twice without at least one elevator fight. Karn does even more work here than normal using the Heartstone as a weapon, as a big, blunt weapon. Which seems ill-advised, I'll admit, but hey, he's doing it. He's getting shit done. It's so reckless looking though. And he's stealing my kills. Oh, that's nice. The mid-air Reaper attack. Karn is interrupting the camera just a little bit. It's being disruptive. Holy shit. I could probably do some juggles off of Karn's ground bounces. Do some, like, team hyper combos. Come on, oh Karn, I set him up for you. You missed the alley-oop. Oh, this is super chaotic. Plus there are particle effects going everywhere. Oh, taking a lot of hits in this fight. Whoa, 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 whoa. We can't fight near the lever. It'll freak the camera out. Got it. Understood. Oh, thank you, Karn. Didn't even have to dodge that. And we're good to go. And we were pretty close to the hub. So that's even handier for us. We're just a couple rooms off of it. So it's not like Karn has to carry that thing very far back.
The old stone awakens.
The sleeper awakens. The sleeper awakens. That's goofy looking. And also, remember our friend Wooden Construct? Sure, whatever. So if not for the divine intervention of lava explosions, we would not be able to awaken the Guardian. We wouldn't be able to destroy the corruption and ultimately absolve our brother. I want you to think long and hard about what a hero that lava was. And also, that burns. That's gonna do it for now. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take it easy. Have a good one.